Well, welcome to another My Harlow My Life, and I'm very pleased to say I'm with somebody that I've heard a lot about. I'll be honest with you, everybody that we've on the show so far has spoken about the man, saying to me what a quality footballer he was. So I'm really glad to say meeting today, Marvin Samuel. How are you, sir?
Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. We've had a busy day of doing the show, so you're show number 4 today. So we've been doing quite a few today to make sure we've got enough to put out over the next few weeks while lockdown's sort of still amongst us. But I mean, lockdown for yourself, Marvin. I mean, how's it been?
Not too bad. Been keeping myself fit, try and keep my mental health as best as it possibly can be, and doing some studying. So I've been making the best out of a bad situation.
Mm, yeah. So I mean, it's been tough. Been well, lucky or unlucky, whichever way you want to look at it. I mean, store manager for a supermarket, so been in every single day during lockdown. But so still keeping your mind occupied during it all day.
Yeah, I'm on furlough, so as I'm off, I will
Mm.
educate.
Mm. So I suppose I've spoke to Phil Tewson, and Phil Tewson's given me some stats. So you might be able to say yes or no to some of these. But do you know how many games you actually played for Harlow?
I have no idea.
Around 300. You literally got 300 on the now. So he said to me, "You scored. This is exactly what he said to me. He said, I've got stats for Marvin. He said total appearances 300, six as sub, 89 goals. His debut was in 1997-98. Left at the end of 2000-2001. Returned during 2002-2003 and left again at the end of 2003-2004. Returned as manager in December 2009, managing 14 games. Won 1, drew 1, lost 12. On the 4th of March, Tommy Cunningham, I don't even like to use the word, but parted company, shall we say, rather than sacked. It's not as nice. And it took charge himself until the end of the season. In fairness, Marvin faced an impossible job with the club rooted to the bottom of the table with no funds to improve things. Would you disagree with any of those stats?
I would not disagree with any of them. I didn't play, to be honest, I didn't play enough games. I don't think.
Mm.
In an ideal world, I would have stayed.
Yeah.
But football's an evolving sport, and sometimes situations happen that you have to move.
Yeah. So how did it come about you joining? I mean, where was you before Harlow, and how did it sort of come about for you to actually join Harlow?
So I was playing for Fisher Athletic in the Dr. Martins League, and I got Player of the Year, and there was a player there called Mario Walsh, who had left Fisher before the end of the season. And I was in contract negotiations with Fisher. I wasn't really happy with what was going on. At this time, I was living in London. And I went for a run one day, and I bumped into Mario, and he said he's down at Harlow. And he sold the club really well. And that was it. I think I didn't have a training session. We played a game. I think it was a pre-season game. Played a game, and after that game, I spoke to Eddie, and we come to an agreement.
So can you remember what that first game was?
No, I can't remember. I think we won 3-2.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you what colour my hair was.
Well, shall we start with that question then? Because I've just spoken to somebody called Scott Alderman. You probably remember one of the sort of real sort of like passionate Harlow fans, and he said when he heard that I was actually going to be talking to you, he said he's definitely one of my favourite players. He said without a shadow of doubt, he said it's ever played for Harlow. He said he's definitely one of my favourite. He then proceeded to sing a song to me to the tune of "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles" about your hair colour. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember that song. I don't remember the words totally, but I mean, it was the fans, people like John, the Mapp family, um, uh, Kitteridge family, the Bothwell family, that made me feel so at home, which was the reason why I had options to move during my time, but I stayed because I felt at home at Harlow, and that just rounded it off for me. I mean, how could you leave a club that's made such a brilliant songwriter? It's amazing.
So can you remember what's the first game you can actually remember that sort of sticks in your mind?
Do you know what? I can't remember who he was playing, but I heard the song 3 or 4 times, and I was thinking, what are they talking about? And then, because I was involved in the game, I probably got booked or something. The game pretty much stopped, and they started singing it. And a few of the players said, that's about you. And I listened to the words, and someone gave me the actual words. But we was playing at home the first time I heard it. There was the air horn that they used in the World War.
Yeah, the siren. Yeah.
That siren. It's absolutely nuts. And it happened just after that. It was in the winter time. I remember it was cold. Brilliant. Brilliant.
I mean, what's the actual first game you remember yourself like playing in? Can you remember the first game you've got memories of your first actual game?
I can't remember who we was playing, to be honest, but it was that pre-season game.
Yeah.
The most memorable game was probably the game that we got promoted on. Oh, what a day! If you could bottle that feeling, I swear I'll be a millionaire by now. I'll be selling it all over the place. I can remember the winning goal. We won 3-2. I've got the ball from midfield. All I heard was Wade Falana screaming, "Give me the ball, give me the effing ball." And I just shot from, I think it was the only goal I've scored in my whole semi-pro career from outside the box.
Funny you asked that question. You speak about that game straight up because Ray Dyer, if you remember Ray Dyer, he's actually said question for Marvin, and Phil Toos has actually got into it a little bit more underneath. But here's a question for Marvin: would he say his most memorable moment was scoring the late winner at Epsom and L to get us promoted? And then Phil Toos is coming. Yeah, we beat 3-2 at Banstead Athletic, 27th of April, 1998. Didn't get out of the club until 5 a.m. the next morning. Remembering Alan the Hat being, shall we say, peed as a lawnmower. He's saying on the coach, LOL.
It was a brilliant day for everybody. I mean, I can remember as the ball's gone in the goal, Wade and Samo, Moro, Smudge have all gone towards the fans, and I've attempted to go towards the fans, and I see it was just too packed. And I've run to the dugout to celebrate with Eddie McCluskey. Brilliant day. I mean, I'll never ever forget that night.
I mean, the game itself. How did the game go? Because I've only been with Harlow sort of since Barrett's farm time. But I mean, literally, what were you leading in it, or explain the game a little bit if you can remember?
Well, from what I can remember, I might be slightly wrong. Ray might have to put me straight a bit on this, but from what I can remember, I got the first. We went 1-0 up. And then we went 2-1 down. Then I think Mark Salmon got the second to make it 2-2. And there was about 15 minutes to go. Everyone was nervous. And I got the winner. It's a brilliant day. It's a brilliant day, I must admit. For everybody. For the chairman, for the fans, for the players. It was brilliant. And to do it in my first season was brilliant. And I think I got too much credit for that game. I think it was a long season. It was a hard season, and the team was brilliant. And not one player could have got promoted. It had to be a team. And I was just part of a brilliant team.
Was it one of those goals in your memory that gets further and further out as the years go by, or is it one of those ones that gets closer?
It gets further. I hit the ball better every time I think about it.
Because I in the same sort of context, realistically, but I'm an Arsenal fan for my woes, but literally, it's a Charlie George goal in 1971. It seems to get closer and closer every time I see it. And when I was a kid, it felt like it was on the halfway line, but now every time I watch it, it seems to be getting closer and closer.
I think mine goes the other way. I think when it left my foot, I think that was going to take a goal kick because it looked like it was going towards the corner flag, and it just bent inside the post. Unbelievable. Best goal I've ever scored, to be honest. I think.
Was there any other memories of that season that stick in your mind, either with the players in the dressing room, or with fans, or maybe the trips up to the ground?
A lot. I remember. There's just token bits. I remember Hawkeye, which was always brilliant. Turning up and seeing Hawkeye in his running around the running track of that season, it kind of merges because we got a double promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for me to. I remember. No, I don't remember much of that season, to be honest. But I do remember that game. I remember the fans. The fans were unbelievable. I remember obviously the horn and the stadium. I can still picture the stadium exactly where everything is.
Yeah.
I mean, new stadium, brilliant, but old stadium had so much character about it, and you could feel the history behind the stadium. But a lot of the players I still remember: Morrow, Smudge, Greg Pike, Crab, obviously Wade Flana, Samo, Trevor Wilkinson. There's quite a lot. Lee centre half. I can't remember his second name. Phil Leggett. So there's quite a lot of the players I still remember, and they've all contributed to my playing career, to be honest.
Well, Legsy or Paul, if you remember Legsy, he said, "Does Marvin remember?" I don't know what season this was, so you might be able to help. He said, "Does Marvin remember getting the players to apologise to the supporters after a match?" He says he thinks it was away at Chesham.
Did I do that? Wow. Yes. I don't know where it was, but I do vaguely remember. You see, you got to understand that. Obviously, you wasn't there back then, but I like to think I was quite misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, for some reason, the fans and the chairman of Harlow Town understood me, and I just wanted to win. I'll do whatever it takes to win. I'll run myself in the ground to win, and I expected my teammates to do the same. And I think I got misunderstood in regards to sometimes I was maybe a bit too assertive in the way I went about things, especially to my teammates. But we all had high expectations, and I like to live up to them. And that all comes down to consistency. So I believe the reason why we got promoted twice, because generally we was more consistent than any other team in that league. And on this specific day, I can't remember what the score was, but we just didn't turn up. And I've always, my outlook on football is, if people are going to pay to come and watch me, I need to put on a show, to give them their money's worth. And if the whole team, I can't play well every game, I don't think anyone can, but as a whole team, if we don't turn up, then they deserve either their money back or an apology from the team.
So that day, then, poor performance. Then is that what you was?
I believe it would have been a poor performance that would have led me to push for the players to apologise.
But I mean, memories. Memories of the club itself. You say you've got fond memories of the stadium. You can remember the stadium. I mean, I remember the stadium being there, and it was literally, and I think as somebody else said earlier on, you just, when you went and sat in the stand, you had to avoid all the pigeon poo. But I mean, what is like all your sort of, your sort of memories of the ground itself? I mean, what made it special for you?
What made it special? Dad, Sainsbury's across the road is part of one of their songs. They had the ski lift on the other side of the pitch.
Right, yeah. And
because it was, in comparison to what Harlow playing now, it's black and white. We played. The stadium was falling to pieces, but we knew when we turned up, we was already 1 up before we even kicked the ball. One, because other opponents didn't like to come to the ground, and two, because our fans were so lively, they always gave us a lift. But as you walk out the running track, there was chunks missing out of it. It was a lumpy pitch. The bar was okay. Showers didn't work properly, but it was home.
But I mean,
to be honest, I've driven past here recently because over the last 2 seasons, I put in a couple of sessions for the ladies' team at Harlow.
Okay.
Don't know if you hear about that. But I've driven past purposely, and I see they've got all new, nice flats there, and I do reminisce about how it used to be.
If I could, Mark, can I just ask you just to move slightly to your right, and then I'll be able to. That's it. Spot on. Spot on. But I mean, literally with it though, I mean, the games itself. In that the second season you were there. I mean,
Yep.
what was that like? I mean, being promoted up, was that getting used to a different level of football, or did you find that quite easy?
I think it was. It wasn't easy, but it was easy to navigate your way through the season because we had such a great manager and he brought in players to improve the side, which always helps. I think if we stuck with the same squad, we probably wouldn't have been as successful in the second season as we was in the second season as we was in the first.
Yeah.
But I think that season he brought in quite a few players to improve the side.
So I mean, with that then, players you played with, I mean, you still keep in touch with some of those players, and you still feel fond. I mean, I know the guys that have been around in the last sort of 3 or 4 years, etc., etc. Have said it's probably one of Danny Chapman, the manager that was, shall we say, we always said that he was strongest team and one of the strongest teams he's seen at Harlow. But double promotion, you've got to be up there pushing for that as well, haven't
you? It would be. I think the team in our second promotion, if that team played your current side, I think we'll beat them. Honestly, I think Samuel would have been too much. We had a good Dave, can't remember his second name, centre half, played at Birmingham. He was brilliant. John Hooker, Nicky Iton. Yeah, I think we would beat the current side. So it's hard to say what side was better. I would imagine that Chapman's side was better for his generation.
Yeah.
And my side, the second season was the best that I played in that generation at Harlow.
See, I mean, you're on a high. I mean, you've been promoted the first season, you get into second season, but I mean, how many of the players stayed around? Was back then? Was it the same as now, where you wasn't sure who was going to turn up at pre-season, or was it a little bit more steadier than that?
To be fair, for me personally, I didn't care who stayed and who went and who came in. I had full trust in Eddie, and I was quite selfish in regards to as long as I play well, the rest will fall into place. Not saying that I was the best player in the team, because I don't think I was. I think I was one of the hardest working, to be honest, but and probably one of the most consistent. But I think at that age, I think I was about 22, I just wanted to play football and just to express myself as much as possible. So I don't think at that age I was worried about who was coming back at pre-season. I think Wayne Court signed the second season. I think I bought him from Fisher in the second season. And we all know how many goals he scored. So I think we all chipped in as a unit to improve the side from the first season.
So I mean, what was your dressing room like? Dressing room sort of really good, was
it? You can imagine in a winning side, the dressing room is always brilliant. And we had an amazing dressing room, and I think the fact that we was a good unit off the pitch helped us on the pitch. Nothing was personal. We all understood what we was doing. We understood our jobs. We understood that we had bad games, might get on each other's nerves, have a bit of a pop at each other, but ultimately it was all there for the same reason.
Was it fun times then? I mean, any fun stories you can tell us about?
No, I can't implicate anybody because Facebook is a dangerous world. But there was a few incidents that were unforgettable. Like as a team, for example, we would play a game on a Saturday, and then 9 or 10 of us will head up the M1 to Derby and have a night out. Yeah, it was mad. Mad times were brilliant, and I don't think enough players do that this day and age. They may get together after a game, but we never stayed local. We would go to Derby. We had an FA Cup run. I can remember we went out in Birmingham. wherever we could go out and socialise amongst ourselves as a team, we would do it.
So that time, you say you had an FA Cup run. I mean, how good was the FA Cup run?
It might be an FA Trophy or Vars, to be honest. All I can remember, we went to Birmingham, we won, and I could just remember getting an assist. I don't know what the score was, but I remember assist Wade Falana for the winner. It might have been 2-1.
So on those
and
days,
we all just
those days, did you?
Sorry?
On those days, did you travel together? Did you get coaches, or did you go cars, or?
We'll go cars normally, because then we know we'll all jump in whoever's car, double up, triple up, and so we know we'll get home safely.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
No, to be honest, we never left anyone behind.
So I mean, literally, away journeys. I mean, I've just spoken to people like Lane Eady and stuff like that, and he said he's had some fun journeys in his car and Junior Dadson and people like this. But I mean, who was it that you used to sort of tag up with to go to the away games? And did you have any fun stories there where you can share with us? Going forward.
Mark Salmon, Wade Falana, Trevor Wilkinson. Those are the four that I mainly travelled with. We played. I don't think I say this. We played on Leatherhead. I think we played Leatherhead away on Christmas Day after Christmas Eve. And I was flying up all the way to the game. We had to pull over like 5 times. And Mark was looking after me, feeding me water, but I just kept throwing up. Didn't even think I could play, but we ended up, I don't know what the score was. I don't even know how I played. I can't remember much of it, but I can remember putting it over at the South Bank, because we drove through London, about 5 or 6 times, flying up in bushes. Not my most professional behaviour, but there's been a good few journeys where I was never a drinker at that time. I think I only started drinking when I joined Harlow. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I've been in a lot of situations that I cannot remember, and I don't know how I got home. And it's all down to Wade Falana, Mark Salmon, and Trevor Wilkinson.
So I hear a lot about Mark Salmon, and that's people from Ray and other people talk about him all the time. I mean, what type of character is he? What type of character was he then when he was playing? I mean, if he was comparing him to a modern day player now, I mean, who would you be sort of comparing him to?
Jermaine Defoe.
Mm-hmm.
I would liken him to a Jermaine Defoe player, 100%. But not in character. He's I believe if behind closed doors, Mark was who I was in public. And I think we got on so well because I was his other half. So sometimes my expression would be his mental expression, but I would actually do it because it's the kind of person I am. But I think we got on so well because he's a quiet type, reserved, a thinker, where I'm more in your face kind of person. So, but he was brilliant. He's won games for us on his own, and he was liked by everybody. I don't know not one person who's got anything bad to say about Mark, and that says everything. That says it all. Through good times and bad times, no one has ever said anything negative about Mark.
So I mean, with those games though, when we were saying you got promoted and you got into the high division. So what was the division you was in and then went up to? What was the division? Can you remember?
It was in Ryman at that time. It was in Ryman 3.
Yeah.
Up to 2. Got promoted from 2 into 1.
So at that time then, so what was it? What was there a lot of sort of class in football wise difference between sort of 3 and 2 and then 2 and 1? Was there a lot of difference in the way the football was played, and how hard was it for the team to actually get a head round of how to play against these teams that would be stronger?
I think that's down to Eddie. and his coaching staff, to be honest. I think Eddie handpicked players who he knew he could get the best out of, but didn't really have to give a lot of time instructing them on how to do it. So when you put a team together, I mean, I'm no master, as you can tell by my time in management at Harlow, but when you put a team together, it's like a puzzle. And if you can pick all the right puzzles, they'll gel automatically. But some people try to fit bits of a puzzle that have no right to be anywhere near it. And that's where sometimes you become unstuck because the team becomes unbalanced. So we was playing 3-5-2, and he picked, I think it was me, Crab on the left, and we was both young, we was both hungry, but we had plenty of energy, which you need to have as wing backs. Then you had a big man, Wade or Wayne Court up top, and then you had small man Mark Salmon alongside him, and then you had your John Hookers and your John Nichols and your Smudges in midfield to break up play. So he knew what he was doing. He never told us. I only found out this late on in life, but he knew what he was doing.
How much sort of rebellion was there though? Sometimes was there any rebellion? Was it, or was he like a rod of iron, Eddie? Did he? Was he around the shoulder top?
He was a good. Yeah, he was a good man manager, and like I said, I was misunderstood, but he was one of. There's only been a few managers that have actually understood me, and so he always got the best out of me. So he didn't treat everybody the same. He treated people depending on how their personalities were, which is brilliant. So he used to get the best out of everybody.
So what in that second season? I mean, what games come to mind in the second season? Is there any games that sort of stick out in that second season?
Apart from the first season, I can't even remember where we ended up in the second season to get promoted. That second season was a blur. All I can remember after getting promoted is the Saturday that Eddie left. To be totally honest.
So was that why you left at the end of that season? Was it that season you left at the end of that one? Was it?
No, I left. I left because I found it difficult to communicate with Tommy, and looking back at it, it wasn't a situation happened. Probably Tommy would never remember this. I don't want to go into it in too much detail, but a situation happened at training, and he pulled me aside and had a word. The word that he had with me, though looking back at it, was probably came from his heart. It came across offensive to me, and from that moment, our relationship went downhill. And unfortunately, we've never actually sat down and dealt with our past, which probably would have helped our future. But looking back at it, it's probably something that I could have maybe addressed then and there. But from that moment, we weren't ever going to see eye to eye, and that was because of my feelings towards what was said.
Yeah. So from Harlow, where did you go to? What did you go and play for?
I went to Alsey. I went there for half season, and we done really well. We got to the fourth round of the FA Cup preliminary. So I think we played Hereford away. It's a brilliant experience. Played Hereford away. I think we lost 2-1. I could have scored to win it. I didn't. And then the journey was just too much. It used to take me like 2.5 hours to get to training. And it became too much. So I ended up back at Harlow. I believe I had a phone call from Mark Salmon, and he said, when you coming back? And I said, I don't know. He said, just come back. And I came back, started off really well. I think I scored when I came back. I scored on my debut when I came back. And then at the end of that season, Ian Allison got the Bournemouth job. He took me there. He showed me around the facilities. I spoke to the chairman. We spoke about the history of the club, where the club wanted to go forwards, and made that move.
And then came back in 2003, 2004. Was you still loved because you'd been to Bishop Stortford? Did the fans still react well to you?
I didn't play for Bishop Stortford.
I thought you said Bishop Stortford.
No. Olsey, Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, sorry. I thought you said Bishop Stortford. Sorry. I was going to say, wow, hang on a minute. Did they still love you? Yeah.
I had to think about that myself. I said, actually, did I play for Bishop Stortford?
But I mean, you came back again. I mean, same sort of question. Was you how did the fans react to you? Were they, pleased to see you come back? I mean, I know of recent times, the likes of Alex Reed's come back, and the fans have, greeted him with open arms the minute he walked through, and somebody with a statue of yourself as well. I mean, was that the same thing as well for you?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a bad reception at Harlow, even when I was managing. Excuse me, I never had a bad reception, and that's why I've always Harlow. I've always got a soft spot for Harlow, no matter who's there. It's more about the history of the club. It's more about the town itself, and I'm happy to be a part of that history.
So when you came back, Harlow in the same division that you left them in?
Yeah, they were. Yeah. I think we got promoted that year, Bournemouth. So I'm not too sure what the scores were when we played against Harlow. I probably got booked because I just tried to do my best, and I think what happened was I think we lost. I gave a penalty away because one of your centre halves were just talking too much, and I just lost my head a bit, and I gave away a penny.
So
sad times.
So that's why they still love you when you came back, because you gave us a penalty when you was playing with somebody else.
Yeah, it was. I was just doing you guys a favour. No, so every time I go to Harlow, even when I pop down to do the women's side, it always, even though the club's in geographically a different position now, it's Harlow Town, no matter where it is, wherever the stadium is, and it's a joy to go back and do whatever I can do to help the club.
So the seasons that you were playing, were all those seasons at the Sports Centre, and then the season when you came back and managed was at Barrows Farm?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was that like then when you actually came back to do? How did that come about that you got the phone call, and was that from Tom that called you to get you to come in as manager, or was that the chairman before?
So I believe I was coaching Bournemouth's academy. I just passed the first year of UEFA A licence, and we played. I was playing for somebody, can't remember who, but we played Harlow, and the then chair lady, Carol, asked me if I'll be interested in taking over. Now, look, the club was where it was. There was no budget. They were odds on to go down, but me being naive, maybe, I said, hand on heart, I thought I could keep them up. And even if I couldn't, I knew that they would not get relegated. Sometimes you get a feeling that they'll get reprieve, and I had a feeling that I'll get reprieve regardless. So the idea, I came in, if we went down, then I'll get to be able to prove myself in Essex Senior if they got relegated. Yeah. But then about 6 weeks into my role, Tommy then took over the club.
And what was the feelings then? Because if you've got someone that's coming in that's not the chairman from, the one that's hired you, as you see in, professional football, it all gets a little bit tetchy, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, me and Tommy, we met up. It was a good meeting. But like I said, we didn't, I didn't discuss and settle the past.
Yeah.
We just had a clean slate to move forwards. But it's hard to move forwards if you haven't dealt with the issues that have happened in the past. So that was probably down to me. So it didn't take long for our communications to deteriorate. But again, I was a bit naive. There was a lot of things that I should have done what I didn't. There's a lot of things that should have been said that wasn't. So it was my first job in management. It was a heavy learning curve. I don't think I got enough time, which is a shame. But football's football. If I saw Tommy now, I ain't got no grudge against him. It's not personal. I like to think. I'd like to think we're two grown men and we still shake hands when we meet each other. So we have still got respect for each other.
So I mean, with that, I mean, what was the fans' reaction seeing their hero come back to manage the team? I mean, you must have got a massive sort of like lift from the fans when you've walked in, even though they know, the situation's dire. Do you know what I mean? And you've got a dire situation to take over. What was the fans' reaction to one of their heroes coming back to manage the team?
The fans were brilliant. I hope I didn't damage my reputation at all. I'm hoping that I put out a team, even though we lost so many, that the fans knew were running their hearts out for the club and putting in a great effort. But I think because the fans were so supportive, it made me put more pressure on myself because I don't like to let anyone down. But to a club that's treating me so well in the past, it meant that extra bit more. So what I found, looking back at it and being naive, what I found is I would add pressure onto myself and spread the pressure around the changing room. So the players were unfairly put in a situation where not only were they in a dire situation, they had unnecessary pressure from me, who should have been protecting them and taking the pressure away. But I was adding to the pressure that they had. So that was a bit of naivety for me, I believe. I think if looking back now, if I dealt with it a bit differently, we might have got a few more results. We probably would have got better performances. Would the situation have changed? Probably not. But we would have had a better account for ourselves than we did.
But it must have been hard for you. If you're sort of like just from the chat that we've had, you come across as being sort of like a serial winner and want to win, as you said earlier on about apologising to the fans. So being in that sort of situation when you may be working with players that you look at and think, I'm not going to put words into your mouth, but almost maybe not good enough for the league that they're in because of the situation you're in. That must have been very difficult for you as well, though.
It was initially, there was a few problems that I had. One, I inherited a coaching staff, which were nice guys, really helpful. But since then, I've realised that having an assistant and a coach that you have chemistry with is half the and then it was players. I inherited a side that a lot of the best players went, and when I tried to get them back, they weren't coming back. That was before I came. So I ended up with players that I could bring in and players that were already there. And because I didn't have a pre-season, I was always treading water. But I think my intensity sometimes lifts players. But at that point, I didn't understand that I crossed during my line of playing. There was a line that I crossed, which was a new generation line. Now, at old school, you could say whatever you wanted to a player. They'll take it on the chin and try and implement it when they went onto the pitch. As my playing career went on, there was a line where you no longer could do that because you'll get the negative effect of a player. And so you had to, even if they were playing bad, put your hand around their shoulder, tell them how great they are and pat their ego and stuff. And I didn't realise that at the time. So where I was managing in that old school mentality, I was actually getting a negative response from some of the players. So it was hard. It was hard, but it was a learning curve that I would never forget.
So was it? I mean, when the inevitable happened, and I mean, do you remember where you was, or was it a home game, away game, or was you at home, or whatever? When you got the phone, that dreaded phone call, or
We were
chat?
at home. I saw it coming. We was at home. Was it my fault? It could have been dealt with a lot better by both parties, me and Tommy. But I was doing a lot of things that he didn't agree with, and I don't want to go into it too much. But there was he brought in some quality players. You Spencer Knights. Um, uh, there was a Lee. Can't remember his name. Centre half. So he brought in a lot of players that are already there. They were unfit. They came back. And at that time, I had a lot of fit players who were given 110%. When I played your Spencer Knights and such, they looked so out of shape. It was kind of embarrassing for them, for everything they've achieved in their career, to turn up. And though they have quality, not work as a unit because I was unable to do so through their fitness. I'm saying Spencer Knight, just weren't him. He was probably one of the fittest out of them. So it was hard for me to continue to play him, which upset Tommy because obviously he came under a promise. So I was before the game. I can't remember who was playing. I think we lost 2 or 3-1. Before the game, I was told, "Look, you live and die by the decisions you make." We lost the game, and that was the decision I made, and that was the decision that was made. So it is the problem was me and Tommy, we're both our own men. We both have an idea of way things should be done. We're both pretty stubborn. So unless one of us gives way, we'll always create sparks. Now that I'm a bit more mature and more of a thoughtful person, there's ways to negotiate similar like people. But at that point, I was sticking to my guns.
And what reactions did you get from fans then? Did you get calls, or did you get people coming up to you and I mean,
not really. Football's strange. At that point, the foundation of fans that were at Harlow when I came to the club and when I was playing at my best weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a new generation of fans, new and old. So manager goes, hey ho, we're onto a new future. A new manager comes in who was also an ex-player. So there was not much need for anyone to contact me. The Matt family, the Kitteridge family, obviously I'm still in communication with them. They've always supported me, no matter what club I've been at. Even though they're loyal Harlow supporters, they've always supported me as an individual. So it was uplifting to get condolences from them.
So where did you go on? Where did you go on from after the Harlow job? And what did you do with yourself after that?
I think. Oh no. I think I went to Wingate and Finchley. No, I didn't go Wingate and Finchley. I have no idea. What year was this? 2003.
2009. So December. We returned in 2009. So it would have been 2010.
So I must have went back to Bournemouth. I went back to Bournemouth.
Is Bournemouth one of those clubs? If you said someone asked you and said, "What is the club that is your home?" I mean, what club would you say is your home? Is the one that you've got the fondest memories of? And you don't have to say Harlow because we're sitting there talking about it. We can say whatever club.
Obviously, without Harlow, I wouldn't have been at Bournemouth. I was at Harlow for 7 to 8 years, so it would always be Harlow. But Bournemouth was a close second. Again, it was another club that the chairman embraced me straight away, made me feel part of the family. And as a player, you just want to feel part of something. And I believe the first time I left Harlow, I didn't really feel a part of it.
Yeah.
I no longer felt wanted.
Yeah.
And I think I've never been a sub. I'm the worst sub you could ever imagine. And sitting on the bench at Harlow, I knew I wasn't going to be there long.
Mm.
And there was no justification to put me on the bench other than a personal one at that point. Because ability-wise, I think I was still good enough to play in that side. So, but there was no communication as to why I'm sitting on the bench.
Mm.
So I believe I was semi-shoehorned out at that point. And, I'm not one to stick around where I'm not wanted. And I just want to be wanted. And if someone embraces me and shows me that they want me, they'll get all the loyalty that they can ever desire.
So when you was manager at Harlow, was you just manager, not player manager, just manager?
I was a manager, but I played a few games
Right.
because I felt that I could potentially make a difference.
Yeah.
It wasn't no disrespect to anybody else, but I know even now, I couldn't, but now even if I was to play for Harlow now, I would give 110%, and I think the fans will know that I've given it.
Mm.
And I think me playing was a part of uplifting the players, thinking that I could make a difference, and uplifting the fans, really. So I didn't really want to play, but sometimes you've got to make sacrifices.
But it was one of those things, just listening to you talk, and I just had this feeling that, Marvin standing there screaming and shouting, thinking, I need to get on there, I need to get on there. I just had that feeling that you would have to give in to that temptation.
Yeah, but you see, at that point, I didn't have if I had an assistant manager, because I managed at Hertford as well, which was my only other management role. If I had the assistant manager I had at Hertford, I wouldn't have went on, because we had a chemistry and we used to talk a lot, and it was a lot more giving and taking. But at Harlow, I was the manager. I was assistant manager, in my opinion. I was the coach, even though other people were there, and there was no one there to say, listen, I don't agree with what you're doing. Have you thought about this properly? There was nothing to question me, so I was just wearing my heart on my sleeve and doing what I thought was right.
Yeah, no, that's it. So I mean, what's Marvin up to now, as we speak? What are you doing work wise and leisure wise? I mean, he's still involved in the game itself.
So I'm working in an office. I'm on Ferdo at the moment. I've just qualified in counselling, so I might have a career change. I'm trying to get back into the game, but it's opportunities. I'm not getting any opportunities to get back into the game. So I want to get back into management. I still think I've got a lot to give. I think I've done a lot of learning. I think I've got a lot more understanding, and I think this coronavirus does make you think a lot more about. We've all had a lot of time on our hands to think about what we've done in the past, maybe how we can change as people, maybe what we would do moving forwards that we didn't do previously, and I'm no different. And on a football note, I think I'm ready to get back on the touchlines of just waiting for opportunity, really.
So then, here's a thing for you then to think about, and I just want to see by your face to see what your reaction will be. You get a phone call later on tonight from Tom, and he says, Marvin, I want you to come back down and manage the team next season. I mean, what would Marvin's reaction be to that?
I'll definitely talk to him, 100%. I would clear our past in regards to my issues. Mm-hmm. He probably don't understand what my problem was. Mm-hmm. That would definitely have to be cleared up. I would ask him what he wants, as in what he wants to see from the team, how he ideally would like the team to play. And then once we come to consensus, if we can, then 100% I'll sit down and talk to him. It's Harlow Town. Whether it's be Tommy, whether it be yourself, whether it be anybody taking over Harlow Town, if they felt that I could make a difference and contacted me, I would jump at the chance. But only if they felt I could make a difference. I won't want to be asked just because I've used to play for the club and have had many fond memories and a lot of fans know me, and just to uplift the fans. If they believe that I could make a difference, then 100%.
I mean, how much?
Even if I was in the job.
Yeah, I mean, how much would it be then in a situation? Do you follow? When the season's actually active? I mean, do you actually look to see the Harlow results, and is it something that you look at, or is it just something that might pop up every now and again?
Still there?
Sorry, mate, I lost you for a minute. Yeah, I was going to say, literally. I mean, with Harlow itself, do you follow Harlow, football wise? I mean, do you have a look, or is it something that just pops up on your phone every now and again?
I have a look. I don't stalk the club, but I have a look to see how they're doing. Always, if when I'm looking through non-league, it's one of the first things I look at, whatever league Harlow's in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Marvin, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I really has. It's learned a lot from you today, and and people have said to me when I told them that I asked people on the forum, who would you like me to talk to, and they said, oh, Marvin kept coming down all the time, and they kept telling me what a lovely fella you are. And I must admit, mate, first time I've actually managed to speak to you, an absolute fantastic gentleman to speak to, and I've enjoyed the last almost hour with you tonight, and I really do appreciate you giving up your time to speak to us.
Yes, David, and please, if you can forward my love and appreciation to the fans.
Will do.
Everything I've done was not only for me, it was for the club. So moving forwards, you never know what would happen, but what could happen might bump into each other again. But if we do, it's drinks on me.
Magic.
That's not everyone. That's just you, David.
You'll be lucky to know that the crowd's only about 150 now, so it's not too bad.
Oh, not too bad. I don't have to remortgage a house. No, it's been brilliant. Thanks for having me.
No worries, mate. Thank you very much indeed. Speak to you soon.
Right,
thanks, mate. Bye-bye.